it's always fun. You know, I have a comics platform. I get to talk to creators all the time, and that's dope, right? Like being online, meeting people who are into comics is great. Uh, I get no better joy than when I can introduce you to someone who I know personally and who makes great comics and whose comics just deserve to be read. So this is another one of the conversations that we're having with the homie, my man Morgan Iverson. He is the writer, creator of Lumberjacks, which is on its fourth issue and is now getting its first trade paperback collection that you can back on Kickstarter. And so we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about some of the inspiration behind this campaign and why this one in particular is so special. So, without further ado, please welcome my man Morgan.
What's good, everybody? How y'all doing?
Everybody's good. Everybody's good. Yeah, man. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for sharing some time with us, man. I'm excited. Excited about this campaign, man. This
Thank you.
isn't the first time you've been here. It's like
Yeah,
the second time. You know, we
yeah. I'm glad to be back, man. I shoot, boy. Thanking me. Thank you for having me, man. So, um, always good to have a conversation. And I'm with you. Like, if you get to have a conversation and it's with people that you admire, or especially if you admire them and you know them,
mhm,
that's dope. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
so, and the last interview was like having insightful questions or probing questions is always good too, because sometimes it can open another avenue for you to either think about create creatively as you create new projects, or like give you a different point of reflection or a vantage point for things, or another pitch that you didn't see. You know what I mean? So I love these conversations. So thank you for having me, bro.
No problem at all.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll start. We'll
Hmm.
start with the plug here. So we are here because the campaign is live right now for Lumberjacks, the By Any Means graphic novel. So this is going to collect the first four issues of Lumberjacks. Um, and first of all, off to an amazing start, fully funded day one.
Yeah.
Um, y'all can see I already pledged, and we timed this interview to come out about 2 weeks after the initial campaign launch, kind of midway point to get a bump.
Mhm.
Um, but this has the first four issues of Lumberjacks, which I'm pretty sure I've only read three issues. This is the
Yeah.
release of issue four, right?
Yep. Yeah. So I had we finished issue 4 sometime last year, some like towards the end of last year, but I was kind of on the fence about whether or not I was gonna do a Kickstarter for number 4 and then go into the graphic novel, or if I was just gonna jump straight to the graphic novel. And me and Danny were kicking that idea around for a while. Because Danny actually ended up doing the same thing for his trade too. I released number 4 on my TikTok shop, but I wasn't really pushing it. I put it in there as like part of one of the bundles. So there's a few people that have run number 4 and read it, but I really my Kickstarter backers to me are like my base. You know what I'm saying? So like I didn't want to do a full out release of everything and start pushing anything until I came to Kickstarter first.
Mm,
So I am, but another reason I jumped the gun is because I was like, for me as a storyteller, being able to get everybody to getting to the point where you can tell a full chunk of the story of the arc of this character and who his character is, what their struggles are, what they're driving towards, or what inspires them, or is against them, is a big deal to me. You know what I'm saying? So that's another reason I wanted to jump, because I'm like, hey man, everybody's been getting these single issues, but once you get done 1 through 4, like you really kind of can encapsulate who Jax is, what he's struggling against. You know what I mean? Like you
mm.
can get like a full story structure, and I'm excited about doing that. So
Nice. So, Lumberjacks, by any means, right? The story arc's been going, like I said, three issues. Some people
mhm,
have issue four already.
mhm,
Um, issue one, I'll kind of set the scene for you guys if you've never read this book. So, it's about this dude named Jax who, is kind of like your typical like wisecracking, like super confident, like I know I can fight type of dude.
yeah,
And he gets pulled into this situation where Well, the book opens up with him kind of just breaking up like some petty street stuff going on, like dealing with some teenagers or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, and he's almost like a black exploitation hero that got transported into like the new millennium. Like that's kind of how he carries himself.
Yeah, yeah, I agree
But,
with that.
so we get him and we find out that he's got like a cousin that works for the police department.
Mhm.
There's an officer involved shooting, and it kind of rattles the neighborhood that they're all from.
Mhm.
And while they're dealing with that fallout and like, okay, there's a trial, or the officer's gonna like be, acquitted, they're gonna get off, are they gonna be found guilty? At the same time that this trial is going on, we're seeing like this sort of terrorist group, kind of like Anonymous,
Mhm.
rising up and disrupting stuff. And so there's a lot of different factors going on to
Mhm.
set the scene where Jax has to kind of jump into action reluctantly because he's got heroic qualities, but he's not really trying to be anybody's hero necessarily.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so this story is really about his journey from reluctant hero to just straight up hero
Yep.
while we're getting all this other stuff going on.
Hmm. I, that's a great summation. I agree. I think that's especially the last part that you put on. Like he's definitely a reluctant hero. When you read the origin novel, it gives context to that. When me and Danny are out at cons or like we just did Free Comic Book Day, Danny's pitch, Danny just wants to picture that he's a mad dude. He's got anger issues. You know what I'm saying? Like Danny just wants to picture he's got anger issues. And every time he says it, I'm like, man, you act like you don't know the story to know why. If we were going to acknowledge that he does have anger issues, why he's angry, you know what I'm saying? Like why he's
Mm.
angry, what he's going through. So that was a great summation. I think especially with Sinners just coming out, and Ryan Coogler being somebody I look up to so much, for especially how he chooses to tell stories and why he chooses, like his why for telling stories, and it being very personal. He takes very personal things and finds a way to extrapolate that into a great story, and there's layers to it. You know what I mean? So that you can follow just the surface level stories, but there's also other threads that if you pick those up, it can elevate the story, it can elevate perspective and things like that. And that's always the goal of mine. So that element of Jax, especially like I said, you really encapsulated the last part of him growing to be a reluctant hero versus somebody that finds the reason to step into that role. You know what I mean? So the elements around him are going to force him to make a decision. You know what I mean? And it doesn't mean that he's going to make the right one. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was a great encapsulation, man.
I appreciate it, man. It's a great story. It's funny. I remember when I was reading through the first issue,
Mm-hmm.
it was because I had just met you. Now, we talked about this last interview too, but I
Mm-hmm.
had just met you,
Yeah.
and when I was reading the book, I was like, man, this just sounds like Morgan. Like, and
Yeah.
the dialogue kind of works itself out over the course of the series, right? Like you grow as a writer as Jax grows as a character, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But Jax was your first, or Lumberjacks was your first comic, right?
Yeah.
Like, what inspired you to kind of jump into that ring?
Uh, Honestly, Danny, because I didn't, because I didn't grow up reading comic books. I watched Spider Man growing up. I watched X Men. The two shows I watched the most were X Men and Batman, the animated series. Still goated. Batman animated series still goated. But like I grew up on those, but I literally had no concept that these TV shows came from comic books. I had no idea. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Walking Dead. Like when I was watching Walking Dead and people told me it came from a graphic novel, I didn't even know what a graphic novel was. You know what I'm saying? So I was
Mhm,
like,
mhm.
what is a graphic novel? You know what I mean? So Danny is honestly like I was when Danny got back from Iraq, because I met his wife first. I met Tiana first. That's my sister. And I met him when he got back home. And Danny, he had written a novel and published it. And I was like, you can do that? Like I know this dude. He you published something? Wow. You know what I'm saying? So I was because I loved to write when I was younger, but I kind of let it go. And when I saw that he published a book, I read his, and I was like, yo, this is not to be disrespectful, but you know what I'm saying? But like for somebody that I know to do something that is like, this is good. You know what I mean? So like when I read it, I was like, yo, this is really good, yo. Like, and I asked him, there was a story that I was working on. I asked him, would he read mine? Because I admired his work. And he was like, yeah. And then when he read it, he was like, yo, I love this. Will you help me come up with some comic characters? And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm not doing that because I had no context for comics. So in my mind, you know, I played football growing up, and I wasn't into that world. So in my mind, I'm like, man, no, absolutely not. You know what I mean? Like, there was other elements to it, and Danny was just extremely persistent, extremely, because I told him no, not a few times. And over time, with me doing that, the idea for Lumberjacks started kind of percolating, and it started as one thing, and it just grew. You know what I'm saying? It's amazing how you can go from something very small and minuscule against your will, honestly, kind of like Jax, you know what I'm saying? Because I definitely was not trying to do it, but the idea came and it just grew, and over time you get to a graphic novel. You know what I mean? If you're persistent. So which is one of the reasons that it means a lot to me. So but yeah, it was definitely Danny. I give him all the credit for that. Like, writing I've always loved, storytelling I've always loved, but Danny is definitely the inspiration for getting me into comics.
Word.
Yeah.
Danny's just an encourager like that, though. Like,
yep.
You know, I've got this idea I've been bouncing around for over a year at this point.
Yep.
And he always hit me up like, yo, when we gonna do it? Like, just do it, just write it. And I'm like, I got other stuff I gotta do first. I gotta learn. I gotta take a class.
Care about that. He don't care about that. Danny does not care about that. Like, I've told him, I don't know, you know, as a person that loves the Bible, I know that sounds like holy or something, but I don't mean it that way. I just mean it in a even if it was just a narrative, I just like the narratives that are in the Bible. And I told Danny, like, he's got a Bezalel spirit. This guy that God gave the ability to everything that God was telling Moses that he wanted to be in the tabernacle and how it needed to be and all that stuff. He put the anointing of Bezalel on. He put the anointing on Bezalel to create those things. And I told Danny, bro, Danny can go outside and be like, man, I want a rocket ship. And I'd be like, why? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's our dynamic at all times. Like, he will think and be like, bro, I need a rocket ship. I'd be like, for what? Where you're not going to space? And then he'd be like, but I might though. So I don't know. And I'd be like, all right, well, how would we go about it? So I'm on the like planning part of it. And then he's like, I don't know. And then the next thing in the morning, it's a makeshift rocket ship outside. You know what I'm saying? You're like, well, how? Why did you do this? It doesn't always work for good. It works against him sometimes. But that's just who he is. So that dude's naturally like that.
Yeah. We all need to, you know, kind of get up and go get it sometimes. And so I love the encourager that Danny is in that way. And I love that he's not like just, you know, telling you to go do it. Like,
oh yeah,
he ain't telling nobody nothing he wouldn't do himself.
100%. That's another thing I love about him too. Like, Danny does not point and click without being willing to click with you. That's definitely who he is. So yeah, he hats off to my boy. He definitely gets all the credit for that.
Right, for sure. So this campaign has been underway for not even a week, right? It launched on Sunday, May 4th, which is a special day for you. Can you explain to us why it's special?
Yeah, that's May 4th is my son's birthday. As I was kicking around this idea of whether I was going to launch or not, and I was talking to the guys, you know, how close me, Danny, Wally, Rowe, we were talking, and we were kicking around the idea because they were just telling me, man, what are you waiting on? You got all the pages you need. You're not waiting on pages. You're not waiting on colors. You're not waiting on letters. What are you waiting on? And I kept telling them, nah, it's not right yet, whatever. But when the thought came, oh my God, yo, my son's birthday is around the corner. Wait, my daughter's birthday is right after his. Oh my God. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, I can launch on my son's birthday and end it on my daughter's birthday. My kids are on the cover of this. what? Why did I think of this before? You know what I'm saying? And once that dawned on me that I could do that, it was no way I wasn't gonna do it now. You know what I mean? Like whether I was ready or not, I was gonna do it because that was just an exciting idea. Because my son's birthday is May 4th, my daughter's birthday is June 6th. So I said, all right, more. I've never run a campaign that is not at least 30 days. So, I have to add 2 days. Fine by me. You know what I mean? So I was excited, especially because the kids are on the cover of the graphic novel. And that meant a lot to me because we've been through a lot in that time period. And which of this book, this graphic novel was a commemoration of that to me, for me personally. The things that we had overcome as a family, me and my kids. So it meant a lot to me. My relationship with my daughter, my son's health issues, and how many times he's overcome stuff over and over again. So that was obviously, I was really excited even before anything else happened. And then April 15th, I lost my son. And obviously it took on a whole different level of importance, but I was honestly not going to do it. When you start the grieving process, you don't really, saying things melt away kind of is, I guess that's one way to say it. But like, if you were not a person that really had perspective before, you talk about something that centers you. That's a very centering process of you figuring out quickly what matters to you. And because my son has special needs, that's part of the commemoration because of the things that we had to do, take care of him, to keep him safe, the fighter that he was. I wanted to commemorate that. So losing him, our entire lives are dedicated to him. My entire schedule revolved around my son. So, people will ask me every year, are you going to be at this con? Are you going to be at that con? And I couldn't because, my son comes first. And I'm not going to do it. You know what I mean? My son comes first. If I could be there, I will. But I have to have somebody that's going to watch him, or me and his mom have to work it out. And we couldn't always do that. So losing him definitely put a different level of importance. And it took me some time to kind of to see losing him as a transition more so than a loss. It's a loss, and I understand that, and I can center the fact that I lost my baby. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people that follow me on social media and people that know me personally know how much he means to me. So losing him is a different type of heavy. But once I could kind of see it as a transition, I'm a very analytical, logical thinker, cynical too. But from a scientific perspective and a spiritual perspective, I still see it as a transition because from a scientific perspective, our theory is still the Big Bang as it stands now, physicist wise. Since the Big Bang banged, there's not been any new matter that's come into the universe. It just continues to recycle. And when I think about that from the perspective of my son, okay, I can center with that. I get that. He's recycling. This is the part of the process. He's not gone because he's always with me and his mom and our memories and our love and our hearts, our family, friends. And spiritually, obviously, he's not gone. And one of my friends encouraged me. I know he was trying to encourage me, but it was just so profound what he said that, for people that are spiritual, as a believer, as a Christian, we have the concept of heaven and hell, but a lot of times we can lose somebody and not be, if we're honest with ourselves, we're not sure if they're in heaven or hell. You know what I mean? And my boy was like, bruh, I know that you're grieving right now. He said, but at the same time, bro, think about what you have. Like, you don't have to wonder where your son is. There's nobody anywhere, you know what I'm saying, that has to wonder where your son is. You know where he is without a question, without any doubt in your mind, you know where he is. And I was still in the brain fog, you know what I mean? But that broke through, you know what I'm saying? And it really
Yeah.
made sense to me immediately. And when I could wrap my head around that, at least halfway, then I just thought about my son, and I was like, what would Bubba want you to do? For those that don't know, I call my son Bubba. He has 4 names, and I never use any of them. You know what I'm saying? His name was Sean Michael Anthony Iverson, and I call him Bubba at all times. So if you hear me say Bubba, that's what I'm talking about. And my baby had an incredible spirit, an incredible smile, and an incredible fight. And I just thought about my son, and I know he would not want me to not do it. And that was all I needed. All I needed was that. My daughter's been here for me, obviously. My friends, my group of friends, man, they really lifted me up. You know what I'm saying? At times where I didn't know what I needed, because in those times, you know, people ask you what you need, what can I do? People are unsure what to say and how to help, and I've been there. You know, I have a friend at work that just lost somebody that was really close to him, and you don't know what to say. You know what I'm saying? But you don't want to say the wrong thing either. And I know that when people are trying to communicate with me, that they're supporting me and they'll be there for me. But I really, when people ask me, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what I need. I didn't. You know what I'm saying? And my best friend Tam, Derek, they didn't wait. They know me too well, so they like, even if he did need something, he's not going to tell you. So you just have to go. Like, you got to just show up. If he wants you to go home, he'll tell you, but show up, just go. You know what I mean? And I needed that. So yeah, obviously, after a loss like that and still dealing with it now, it meant a lot to me. God knows. Like, the only thing that made his birthday tolerable was the fact that I was so glad that I did do the Kickstarter. I did keep it on his birthday, because it gave me something bright to look at.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a blessing, man. I did that live, and I knew I was going to be crying at times. I was sure of it, you know what I mean? But I also knew, and it also helped me too to have his mom fully supporting everything. That meant a lot to me, because right now we're definitely leaning on each other, you know what I'm saying? And it meant a lot to have her support too. So for the people that already backed it, thank you, man. Like, I've thanked y'all before, but I'm gonna continue to thank you. It really seriously means a lot to me. Like I said, it was definitely a huge bright spot for me in that day, because it was a really hard day outside of that, really hard. Because there's one thing my son's gonna do on his birthday was sleep. So, like, I don't care what you got going on. You got birthday cake, cupcakes, balloons, clown. I don't care. Bubba don't care about none of that. Like, I'm telling you, like, you can do it. You can set everything up, and you can put icing in his mouth. You can do whatever you want. And he'd be like, "Yep, all right." And by 1:30, 2 o'clock, out of there, he's going to sleep. So, I mean, he might wake up. He might wake up, but probably not. You know what I mean? So, and not being able to have that, me and his mom laughing at him about that this year, and it's his 16th birthday. So, you know what I'm saying? Another big milestone. We're still blessed that he had his 15th. We were supposed to be going. He had a Make-A-Wish trip. We were going on Father's Day. So there's still hard times ahead, obviously. But this graphic novel and the success of it so far with this Kickstarter it means a lot, man. And it's helping to hold us up. And but thank y'all again. Thank you. Thank Danny. Thank everybody that reached out. The thoughts and prayers were absolutely felt. I want to say that too. I legitimately felt them, like, because there's so many parts of that process that it's indescribable, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a recertification of, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's because it happens, and you know that it's real because you experienced it and you lived it, and you were there, and but your brain still, like, as it was happening in the hospital room, I could see it. I know, because you know what I'm saying? Like, you could see it. And me and his mom still talk about it to this day. Like, we we knew what we were seeing, but at the same time, because we know our son, because of things he already made it through, because of all these things, one side of your brain is like, this is bad, and the other side is like, he's gonna pull through, he's gonna be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And you just constantly, I don't want to say constantly like 24/7, but it's like waves of you it hitting again. No, this is real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, so I just kind of try to stay in between the waves and, you know, stay afloat in between them and get through them and then just keep passing through. But this helps. This helps. So thank y'all again, man.
Yeah, no
Sincerely.
problem.
Yeah.
I think the closest experience I've had, because I've not lost a child, the closest loss I've taken was my grandfather. My grandfather passed in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time of his passing, I was like, I wouldn't say primary caregiver. I guess my grandmother gets that tag, but I was the one that was always at the hospital,
Yeah.
like listening to all the doctors' meetings. And by that point, it was end of life care. There's social
Yeah.
workers and all this. They're telling you like, oh well, he's got like a week or this. And
Mm-hmm.
so we were in between a couple of different meetings. Like, all right, is he gonna go from to rehab, or we're gonna take him home or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like it was a Saturday morning because it was all right. We're gonna meet one last time with a social worker at like 10 a.m. and he passed at like 9 something. We were on the way to the hospital,
Yeah.
and it's definitely like a point because I was close enough. I was living like around the corner from the hospital at the time, and so I got the text, and I was like, somehow I made it to the room before my uncle who was in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. There's definitely like this kind of, you almost feel like that Spike Lee dolly shot where it's like the world
Yes.
around you
Yes.
and you just kind of standing there like in a daze.
Yes.
I remember following like, you know, because, you know, they come and you pray or whatever, if that's your thing.
Mm-hmm.
They'll eventually, okay, I'm not going to describe all this in depth.
Yeah.
Point though is like, I didn't believe it so much so that I like followed until the hearse came to pick up the body. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
And then it did not hit me until like a week later when we were like burying him. And
Yep.
it is, you know, now some years removed, right? Like there's different things that I do, right? Even the reason I wear hats all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I got waves. I used to take pride in my hair. Like I ain't never wear a hat growing
As
up,
we all do.
right? Right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
my grandfather never left the house without a hat. And so
Mm-hmm.
now like I feel naked if I'm not wearing a hat. It's weird.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My grandfather cooks or
Mm-hmm.
cooked. He was
Mm-hmm.
my grandmother didn't I can count on one hand the times I remember my grandmother cooking anything,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Well, she would cook for Thanksgiving. She would do the pies and stuff. But like
Mm-hmm.
day to day, that
Mm-hmm.
was him. And I do the same thing for my family. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just over time there are ways that we carry on legacy.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think those things kind of get us through.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. That Spike Lee shot, another perfect thing, man. Like in the moment, in the moment in the room, because of how there was no. The other reason that me and his mom were so devastated was because there was no, number one, his pulmonologist saved his life. Like we were looking at a time period 2.5, 3 years ago where we thought we were going to have to put him in a facility because he had a big hospitalization like 3.5 years ago. We almost lost him, and he wasn't supposed to make it through that hospitalization, and he did. So afterwards, they had already told us while we were in the hospital, all right, you know, once he gets out, he'll never get back to where he was before. You know, they didn't want us to go out of there not being aware of the ramifications of how big of a hospitalization that was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when we got back he got released, we had to go back to the hospital for a year and a half, almost 2 years. We had to go back to the hospital with him for maybe the first 6 months, every week and a half.
Mm.
After that, it would stretch out to maybe 2 weeks, and then it would be in between like 2.5 weeks. And when he went back in, he's in there for 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, whatever. When this happens, you lose nurses, um, because they need hours too. Like all of the stuff that's in between. I can't, like you said, I won't explain every part.
Yeah.
But his pulmonologist, we transferred his care from Duke to Wake Med. We met Dr. Brule, Dr. Matthew Brule, at Wake Med, and his willingness to listen to us and work with us and educate us on how the lungs work and work with us. Okay, this is how lungs work. How does Sean's lungs work? You know what I'm saying? And then go from that perspective to work with us. And he was very realistic with us. He was like, we understand if that's the decisions you make because you have no choice, because we both have to work regardless. But let me try this first. Let me try this first. And what he did worked. It worked. And that's another reason we were so jarred, because he had just had 3 years of being back to normal where we never thought he'd get there again. So, and we thanked him constantly, his pulmonologist. And so when he got sick that morning, he wasn't even sick. He was fine that morning. He was completely fine. So the speed at which everything happened was another thing that just floored us. And like how you talked about, like you following the hearse because you couldn't believe it. I say I could not leave his room. You know what I mean? Like it took everything in me to walk out of that room. Because I knew I couldn't stay with the body. I knew I could not stay there.
Yeah.
And they were doing it. They were being as gracious as they could be. But they knew they had to get to the other parts of the process. And yeah, it's that, but that's also another reason why I want to do the Kickstarter and share that story on the Kickstarter, because I know there's other people out there that are experiencing this like you have, and that are experiencing it like I have, whether it be your child, your mother, your father, you know what I mean, whatever it is. There's other people out there that are experiencing this too. And I want to help them. I want to help them find a way out, like I was able to find a way out too, to understand whatever you love to do, whatever's a part of you, can help pull you out of this space. You know what I'm saying? It can help. It doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect. It doesn't mean that it's going to be a fix, an instant fix. No, it's not that. But it can help you. You know what I'm saying? It can help you to be able to focus on something else and stuff like that. And the story of Jax, I want that to be that for people as well, for their purpose. Like that where I'm taking the story for Jax, I really heavily believe in everybody having gifts and a purpose. Like your gifts that you have are connected to your purpose, but I heavily believe that the gifts that you have and your purpose are connected to other people. You have those gifts and you have a purpose to share it with other people, because we all need each other in our gifts and our purpose. And Jax has to go through that journey too, of understanding that. And even though you've lost things, yes, you want to galvanize and you want to protect what you have. But sometimes you trying to protect what you have and galvanize like that can put you in more danger than if you just accepted the purpose that you know what I mean? So like that's a part of this process. And I get into part of that in this arc. And that's another reason I'm excited about. I hope that when people read the graphic novel that they can take at least that away from it. Because I try to tell it in layers and have different things that are pulling you through the story. But I hope that that's something that people can come away with as far as the purpose piece. But that's also why I shared so much on the inspiration part of the page, because I wanted people to, there's people out there going through this just like we did. There's people that are going to go through it. You know what I'm saying? So if I can help them through this process, I want to. So yeah.
I know your daughter's a big inspiration for this as well.
Absolutely.
We just had our third, and it's funny to me like how different each of our kids are. Right? And you'll see memes that'll be like, my second child is my ride or die or whatever, right? And it's absolutely true.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, your children inspire you in different ways. How would you sum up, right? Like who each of your kids is and sort of what they inspire, what they bring up in you?
Man, my baby girl inspires me to, a big thing is not giving up. Uh, because of I shared enough in the inspiration part to not put things in a perspective where other parties are upset. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I can't put everything out there without causing issues.
Yeah.
But the long and the short of it is, I was not able to be not I don't even want to say the word able. I was not there to raise my daughter classically like I could with my son.
Mm-hmm.
And there were circumstances for why that happened. Some of it was mine. You know what I'm saying? Some of it was mine. Some of it was the situation. Like there's a lot of stuff that came together to do that. But the not giving up part comes from, I used to spend time. The one of the craziest things to me was, I was in Durham, especially once I moved back to Durham from Greensboro, when I was going to A&T, which now my baby girl is there. She's going to. I won. her mom and stepfather went to Central. You know what I'm saying? My baby chose to go to A&T. You know, hey, listen, I didn't encourage it, okay? But the point is, full circle moment, my baby decided to go to A&T. But when I was at A&T, I came back home in 2005 to, you know, help take care of her, because I would still come back and forth to watch her when something was going on, and you know, whatever. Her grandparents were taking care of her. But when I came back, I couldn't see her like I wanted to. And she grew up like she was not sure why her mom and I were not raising her. All she knew was a grandparent. She knew that we existed, but like when we came around, because it was so sporadic, it just wasn't, you know what I mean? And I used to, but the crazy part was, I'm in Durham and I used to drive past the neighborhood where she lives. She lived right by where my grandmother lives. And I used to cry sometimes coming from church, because I'm driving past there. I want to see her, but can I though? Because if I, you know what I'm saying? Like, what if this goes left? And if it goes left, now I really never see, you know what I'm saying? So like, and I used to cry for that. And I really thought, I don't know when you know what I'm saying? Like, what if she's literally grown when now we get the conversation and an opportunity to have this? And I'm thankful that it happened before she got to college. It happened while we was in high school. So the fact that we got to try to build that relationship, regardless of what circumstances brought that together. Sometimes, man, I mean, if you don't give up, if you're just around the door when it opens, you know what I'm saying, good things can happen. So she inspires me both. And the way the conversation, the hardest conversation I've ever had in my life was that one. Why I wasn't there, because she wondered, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't, you know what I mean? So I've never had a conversation near that hard in my life. But I also believe in shooting straight. I kept everything a band with her without throwing anybody under the bus. I just took care of my part.
Yeah.
And we had a hard conversation, and I have my baby in my life now, and it means everything to me, because I did not know that I would have that opportunity. So she definitely is my inspiration to never give up. Sean too, for different reasons, because of all the things, because he wasn't supposed to be here in the first place. Like he was 28 weeks. He caught an infection called necrotizer enterocolitis, or short term his neck, and that almost killed him. They cut out half one intestines and 2/3 of the other one just to save his life when he was a baby. I mean, he was 2 pounds 9 ounces. When he got sick, he went down to 1 pound 6 ounces, and he made it back from this. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was not supposed to leave the hospital. So I'm glad that God gave me 2 beasts for kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? In different ways. Like, my baby's mentally tough. She has her stuff that she deals with, just like I did. Because my father wasn't in my life when I was being raised. My grandma raised me. but that's also a reason why I knew some of the mental spaces she might be in, and it made our conversation easier. So, but she also inspires me about being. I have an open heart as it is, but her being willing to accept me back in, and she was scared in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? And I know she was scared, and that means the world to me, man. You know what I'm saying? So like, but I think one big thing. I'm glad you asked me that question, but I think for both of them, that never give up thing, man, is huge. You know what I'm saying? And my baby fought to the end. My son fought to the end. You know what I'm saying? My daughter, there's no end in sight.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? But the fact that she kept it in a place in her heart, because she could have closed her heart to me. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that she didn't means the world to me. And having her in this comic book, and I share that. I share some of our journey in the comic, in the comics, in the origin novel, in the audio podcast. We both had a moment when I in the episode in the audio podcast. She called me crying one day, and we had a conversation about it. But it was triggered by the audio podcast, one of the episodes of the audio podcast. So, but again, I write that stuff and I'm willing to share it because I know there's other parents, there's other fathers that have been through this, that are going through this. There's other moms that have been through this that are going through this, grandparents, you know what I'm saying? So if y'all can be inspired by my story or draw strength from that, I'll freely share that. You know what I mean? Because I just really heavily believe in encouraging people like that, especially with actual authentic experiences. So um yeah, man, I might put that on a shirt or something, like you know what I'm saying? Like the that never give up thing. Like I gotta figure out a way to encapsulate it, but yeah, that never give up thing. I'm proud of my kids, man. I'm proud. Um, and I'm proud of the relationship that I have with them, despite lifing.
That's
And
just,
me being stupid.
yeah, yeah. So you mentioned experiences, authentic experiences, and then something else you mentioned is sort of the way you guys at Fourth Wall do multimedia, right? I remember when Danny had the shop out in Mebane or wherever it was,
Burlington.
Burlington. Got you. I
Yep.
stopped over there, and he had all his books arranged and stuff, and so I bought
Mm-hmm.
the books, and then he had the origin novel, like you mentioned
Yep.
for Ace Blade at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I would buy this from you, dog, but I don't know when I'm gonna read all these words. So I'm just gonna leave that right there. But
Yeah.
but but y'all have that. You have comics, you have a full blown novel, you
Mm-hmm.
have the audio podcast, different experiences. You do a podcast, you do top five live, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that inspires you guys to do so many types of experiences or have people interact with your work in so many ways?
I think I know on the on the narrative side for the novel, for me, he inspired that. Like when I read that novel, I was like, yo, this is crazy. I know this dude. He published a book. Like now that's before I knew anything about how it was published or anything like that. But the thing that mattered to me is that he published something that I could literally go buy in a store and read, and it's actually good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he was definitely the inspiration for that, and me trying to build a backstory for, because to me, one of the best things in storytelling, period, but especially superheroes and antagonists is their origin. You know what I'm saying? Like what's their why? And I think that works in different respects, especially I think Joker is who he is because there's so many iterations of people wondering what his why is, but you don't really know it. So I think it works in both. It can work directly or inversely. Like it can work either way. But I believe heavily that your story is only as good as your antagonist.
Mhm.
And to me, being able to have that origin story there to tell you who these characters are, or why you're reading these comics, or what came out of that, was what started the narrative part. The audio podcast came because Danny originally was like, "Man, I just want to keep my writing skills sharp." He was like, there was this. I don't know if it's still there or not, but there's a website called Wattpad, And we were like, all right, well, let's go up here and like write 100. We're gonna write short stories that are like 100 to 250 words. We were doing it like as a challenge to ourselves. So we wrote some stories on Wattpad first, and then later on, we were like, yo, what if we do this as a podcast? And I was like, or what if we narrate these? Like, what if we read them for it to be other audio? Um, then that's one of the reasons that came about. Top 5 Live came about because it was about, some of this stuff is about consistency too. Danny's amassed his following on TikTok because he was consistent with putting out that content. It was the same thing with us trying to do that with Wattpad. It was the same thing with us trying to do the audio podcast. So some of it is consistency, exposure, just the love for storytelling. Period. We both. I mean, I listen to stories every day that are not my own in different facets, and I think that also helps inspire it too. Because for Top 5 Live, I wanted to do it just because there are times and there are things where I love doing top 5 lists.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So like, Stephen A and them do theirs, in sports and R&B and stuff like that, having those arguments. Some of those are the best. Those are barbershop conversations. You know what I'm saying? We all do that all the time. And that idea I love, but I also love the idea of having somewhere where somebody could, we could go and have a real conversation about real things, something that's happening in the world or something to piss you off today or something that you thought was funny. I love the idea of being able to meld both of those things together into a show that became Top 5 Live. So, I mean, at this point, I think the thing that keeps us going is just we just love storytelling. We love entertaining. We love storytelling. And it's another way to interact with people, meet new people, share new experiences, learn new experiences. So, yeah.
For sure. Yeah, no, the Top 5 Live, that was my joint for a minute before I got busy with, podcasts and all that stuff. But because, I cut my own hair, so I don't get barbershop talk.
Yeah.
Haircut about $60-$70 all of a sudden, right? So,
man, bro. Yeah.
But I thoroughly enjoy just poking in on Top 5 Live, leaving a comment or two, and then going day because it's great to watch.
Thank you, man.
Nah, no problem at all. So I want to just share the screen real quick because I want you guys to see these rewards for LUMBERJAX. So issues 1 through 4 are out. You can grab them in this graphic novel form, but you guys also have single issues or variants for issue 4 that you can grab. So, of course, I backed the early bird bundle, which I do not believe is still available.
I think, there's still a few. So on the 60 one, there's some open. The $30 one is the one. I think we maybe got 11 left on the $30 one is the one it's the cover that you're looking at there. And I did that as an early bird, and then I did the variant cover as an early bird too. And the variant I named that IVERSON Legacy variant because Guida had a really good. So again, I gotta give context. Giacomo Guida is the interior artist for the LUMBERJAX series, and he had a really good idea. Before I lost Bubba, he was like, "Man, I thought I had this really great idea." I said, "What is it?" Eventually, he told me, he was like, "Man, what if we put you and the kids in a picture and have your character back behind you?" I said, "Yo, that's a dope idea, bro. Appreciate you." He was like, "Nah, don't worry about it. I'm gonna take care of it." And then obviously when he heard about Bubba, it inspired him even more to do it. And then I had Tariq Holmes or TJ Holmes do the colors because that guy's a beast on colors. Man. Yeah, he is a beast on colors. You know what I'm saying? So he's actually the one that did he colored the origin novel. Kanan White did the pencils and the inks for the cover that you see there. And TJ colored it. So I was just, man, when I saw that joint, that's one of the things like with that cover's still like, it's gonna be all over the walls in the house, but like not just because I have the kids there, but because it's an homage to the first cover, where
Mhm.
Jack's standing in the middle of the By Any Means People. This one is an homage to that first cover, but now because the story has grown and because Jax has grown, now his family is surrounding him as they're surrounded by the By Any Means People, but you're also surrounded by the antagonists that you meet during Lumberjacks 1 through 4. Um, so you see Jax's why, you know what I'm saying, in the cover. And you see my why in the cover because my kids are on it. You know what I'm saying? So my inspiration it's like foolproof from character to me. And then the Iverson Legacy cover, I'm gonna be sending these out, or that's a part of it. Yeah, the Iverson Legacy cover. That's what Guida came up with, and I thought that was amazing. And TJ came up with a really great way because I wanted Bubba to be in the same clothes, same colors me and his sister were, but I also wanted to commemorate that my baby had transitioned, and he came up with the wings and halo thing and putting the little rim light on it, and obviously that cover is gonna mean a lot to me for the rest of my life. So, um, yeah, I know I'm getting. The only reason I did the hollow foil cover is because I know I'm getting it. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm getting it for me. So I was
Right.
like, I guess I should offer this as a reward for everybody else too. You know what I'm saying? But even if nobody else gets it, I'm gonna have it. You know what I'm saying? That's what matters more. So, um, but I also went like for the high scale on those. Like I didn't do just a regular um, print for those hollow fours. Like I'm doing the silk pages, the silk text pages. The hollow foil is going to be laminated. Uh, let's just say the cost, the price went up.
Yeah.
The price for printing that book is not a little bit more than what the regular price is. So, um, but yeah, uh, this was definitely already a very special campaign to me even before I lost my son, but now afterwards, it makes it even much so. And because my baby girl, I just went to pick her up. Again, I can't say how much I cherish the things that I get to do now as her dad.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Going to picking my baby girl up from my school from after her sophomore year to bring her home, and I never knew whether or not it was a good opportunity to do that. It means the world to me to do that, man. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
um, yeah, man, like this is gonna mean a lot to me for the rest of my life. So
for sure, man. I'm going through these rewards. I'm kind of mad. I ain't scroll down far enough.
hey, listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, Brad Arney, that's my guy, bro. I'm telling
Uh,
you right now, y'all better stop playing because when I tell you Brad's not playing with y'all,
Listen, man.
yo,
There's a lot of original art on this campaign, but there's
yes
also a
sir,
lot of original art that's already gone, man.
yes sir, yes
These
sir.
paintings.
I think there's two more. I think there's two more left. There's Animus.
Uh-huh.
I think Harlem is gone already.
Oh, really?
I think Harlem is gone, but yeah, I have to look. Yeah,
I think
Animus.
Animus is the only painting left. And then we got a
Yeah,
few more inked pages.
yeah. The ink pages. Guida's redoing those. The ink pages. The duo one is gone. I knew that was going to go because Jackson and Ace Blade are in it. Um, I would not be surprised if Danny tries to accost whoever bought the Ace Blade one. The Ace Blade one. If Danny sees you outside, you're in trouble. You know he's going to try to take that. So but yeah. Those original art pieces went much quicker than I thought they would. But yeah, it was not a game.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So nah, man, I'm excited about this campaign. Obviously, right? Like it was a dope book. It's been a dope book for 3 issues. I wouldn't expect anything less for issue 4. But I do want to make sure that I'm clear to all of you
Mm-hmm.
watching, right? Like this isn't like, hey man, my man's going through tragedy, send him some money. No,
Yes.
this
Yeah.
is an amazing project uh, that was
Thank
going on already, but that you're not. I don't know. This ain't putting money in the Salvation Army bucket, and you're like, what's happening? Whatever, right? It's not like dude that accosts you, like, oh, let me give you this book, right?
you.
Like,
Yeah.
this is an amazing action-packed graphic novel.
Thank
The
you, bro.
dialogue is fun. Jax is such a witty character. And I think like that's probably my favorite aspect of the book.
Thank you, man.
There's definitely aspects of it that are like um solemn, sobering, you know,
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
there's that whole sequence in issue one when we're in the courtroom and we're naming people and stuff.
Yeah,
And it's like,
yeah.
man, right? Like, so there's definitely moments that'll make you think, moments that'll make you feel, but the
Hmm.
book is absolutely like entertaining. I can't even like the way it's been repackaged, right? For this like this homage cover.
Yeah.
Because at first glance, I was like, wait, I've seen this cover. Then I was like, wait, I have not seen this cover. This is
I'm
not
glad. I'm glad I got to say that.
yeah. So but yeah, no, Kanan White is a beast.
Yeah, bro.
He did my favorite cover for issue 3 with like the puppet strings.
Oh yeah. Yes, sir. That's still. Oh, that's something else that's in the graphic novel too. So lumberjack. So for everything that's in the graphic novel, you have lumberjacks 1 through 4 is in there. I got Guida actually one of his a student that he mentors actually did the teaser pages for Lumberjacks #5. So that there are teaser pages at the back of the book for Lumberjacks #5 to kind of direct you to where the story is going. I did a cover gallery for what my favorite covers are so far through in Lumberjacks 1 through 4. What my favorite covers are. I put an Easter egg section in there. So um, after every edition of the comic, there'll be an Easter egg section to point to some of the things. I'm not pointing to everything because I
Mhm.
hate spoilers. You know what I'm saying? I hate spoilers, but I am pointing to some of the things like, hey, I hope that you were just enjoying the story and you might have missed this. Go back and look at this, which is the reason why I was saying what I said about this cover. This a homage. I,
Mhm.
I told people play Where's Waldo with this cover because it's not just by any means people that's on this cover.
Right.
The antagonists that you meet during this journey, during this first arc, are also on that cover.
Mhm.
Um, that's Jackson's dad in the black beside him. That's his mom in the red, his grandfather in the purple, his wife in the blue, and my baby on the bottom right, and my son on the in the middle in the white. So yeah, man, that's what I'm saying. That cover was gonna mean a lot to me as it was, but I also we were trying to go for that the rim light
Mhm.
that TJ put in there. Man, like it looked good before, but when he put that light on there, I said, "Hey, man, stop before I smack you, bro. Like this is, you know what I'm saying? Like this is getting crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because me and Kanan were trying to get this a dark feel, but we wanted the light to be the family. So when he was like,
Yeah.
"Oh man, what if we put a rim light there?" And I said, "What's a rim light?" He was like, "Hold on, I'm gonna give me a second." And then you put it up there. I said, hey man,
Listen,
you,
and then that rim light's got like a blue cast to it, so it's
yes,
almost like
sir.
there's lightning that struck off camera.
I'm
Bro.
telling you, I'm telling you. When I say I love this cover, man, I love this cover. I really do. So, and it's not just because the kids on it; it's just because of the homage to the first cover, um, and all the different elements. But the puppet strings for #3,
Mhm.
I, I'm not gonna say whether that made the cover gallery or not,
It,
but
it has to. It has
yeah,
to.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying, like that joint's hard, bro. Okay,
Right.
that joint is hard.
So
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, these are in there too. Character pages for different antagonists that you meet during the journey. Um, give you some background on them. Kind of like me and Danny are trying to work ourselves towards doing a source book for Fourth
Mhm.
Wall. That's why we have this information in here. So we'll be sometime soon. We'll be looking to do a source book.
That'd be
Um,
dope. I
yeah.
just got in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles source book.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
it is great. It's basically cataloging like that whole IDW era from like 2011 to now.
I can't even
And
fathom how much is in there.
and the way it reads, like it's not like the Marvel handbook where everything's alphabetical order. Like they
Mhm.
put all the articles like in story order. So it's like you could read like 15 volumes of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or you could read the source book, or you could just use the source book like a reference, like because it's got a table of contents so you can go through like, all right, well,
Wow.
who was this person that is dope. Um,
See? We got to look at that because that's one of the things that we were trying to look at is trying to figure because I like how Marvel has their character pages that go through like the powers and abilities, fighting skills. I like that.
Yeah.
And we were trying to think about doing something similar like that. But I love the idea that so maybe we could do, like a melding of the two, you know what I mean? But we started on one before, but we just hadn't finished it because we were trying to get new artwork in and then figure out how we were going to put it together. So, but it's something that's coming. Like eventually, especially for the Kickstarters, we love to have that source book there for people.
Dope. Dope. Well, look, man, I'm excited. I'm excited that this campaign is already fully funded. So, the book is done, right?
Yep.
All we got to do is print the graphic novel.
Yep.
So we know how many orders we got placed, right?
Yep. Yep.
We're not letting the tariffs get us down.
No, we are not. No, we are not. We're gonna print these joints, bro.
Right. And so, man, I'm excited about this. I'm happy for you, right? Because I remember when I think we met, there was just Lumberjacks issue 2 coming out.
Yep.
So to have 2 more issues out, to have a whole trade on the shelf, nobody got to dig out of a short box. It'll be sitting there
man.
next to my copy of Ace Blade. That's dope.
Man, it's such a, that's what I'm saying, man. It was such a commemoration in all these ways because I was so proud of Danny when he got his done. And now when you come to the fourth wall table, you can get both trades. King Supreme's trade will be done soon. You know what I'm saying? Me and Wally are trying to figure out the schedule for getting Harlem's done. So it's exciting times, man. It really is. So to have all of these different things coming together at the same time, it means a lot, man. So thank y'all again, and thank you, bro.
Yeah, no problem at all. So for those of you guys who are looking to back the campaign, you didn't already go Google it, just go to comicsaredope.com/lumberjacks. Lumberjacks is lumber, JAX. So go to comicsaredope.com/lumberjacks. That'll take you to the Kickstarter page so you can back this and be like me in a few weeks when this comes in the mail. Just all happy and stuff. And if people are looking to follow you, where can they find you
on Facebook, more as Morgan Iverson, on IG as Morgan_Iverson_ on IG, on TikTok as Lumberjacks. The E it's a 3 instead of the E, and there's an underscore in between. But if you start typing it in, you'll see the cover for, I think, Lumberjacks #3 up there. Where else? I'm on Blue Sky. Let me see what my thing is on Blue Sky because I never
you don't use Blue Sky.
Yeah, I don't mess with. I was never a Twitter person at all ever, but obviously for obvious reasons, there's more reasons not to be now. So
yeah.
Let me see. Lumberjacks on Blue Sky. Same thing. 3 instead of the E. But yeah, I think that's all the social medias. Or you can just go to fourthwallpros.com and click on Morgan Iverson, and it'll show you all of my social media sites.
Bet. So I'll make sure I'll leave links to that in the description down below and in the show notes if you're listening to audio. Thank you guys for rocking with us. Thanks for supporting the campaign. And stay safe, stay awesome, and read something dope today. Peace.